calls me from out of the pit.
Welcome to a very special episode of The Return of the Son of the Show. I'm Paul.
And I'm Mark.
And this is
The Importance of Being Earnest.
Basically, Mark and I are huge Ernest Borgnine fans. And we thought it would be fun to do a show where we watch his movies and review them.
Is a great thespian.
Yes.
Underrated thespian.
Yes. And our love for Ernest Borgnine can be seen in the very opening frame of our intro music.
Mm-hmm.
But the trick was we were looking for a title for it. I couldn't really come up with anything that I liked. And then the other day we were watching the second best Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. And
correction, sir. As everyone knows, it is the first and best Spider-Man movie. May not be the first, but it's the best. It might as well have been the first in my book.
We will have to agree to disagree.
Perhaps. Tell us in the comments.
Yes, tell us in the comments.
Tell us in the comments how right I am.
But before we get into our show, if you liked this show, if you liked The Importance of Being Earnest, or The Return of the Son of the Show, or our Tuesday Night at Mark's, do us all a favor and go down below and hit the like, share, comment, and that little bell icon so you don't miss a single video. If you like this one, send it to one of your more sophisticated friends.
Or, as we like to say in the Canola family, your more cultured brother and or friends who might appreciate it more than uncultured relatives.
Correct. Also, we have a sponsor. I would like to give a big, as the kids say, shout out to Ernest Borgnine's frozen turducken roll. Just like Tova used to make.
Mm-hmm. A holiday favorite in every household, as it should be. Yes, that combination of meats cannot be beat.
That's right. So, since this is our first episode, we decided we were going to review the last feature film Ernest Borgnine was in, which was 2012's
The Man Who Shook the Hand of Vincente Fernandez.
Big fella.
Well, looks like someone is almost back in the saddle.
It's gonna take some intense physical therapy to get you back on your feet.
I want a real doctor, not some low-life snake oil salesman.
To hear your father speak sounds like he doesn't want to get better.
It's a cockamamie scheme. Man, damn it! You don't know how I feel.
Sorry for yourself.
Shut up, Denise. Hey, ugly. Is he talking to you?
The Walker gang. The Walker family owns this place.
Do you know who I am? Yeah, I've heard. To me, you're just another tin horn.
The great Vincente Fernandez.
Vincente Fernandez.
Vincente Fernandez. Well, you see, I used to be in radio. My wife used to take me to these DJ conventions, and this friend of mine says, I want you to meet someone.
Who?
Vincente Fernandez. He seemed like a kind man. Class act.
Was he tall?
Can you tell us what he wore?
He was all dressed up in black, and he had a sombrero, must have been about 30 inches across.
And his handshake?
Firm, strong. He nearly shook my hand off.
All this fuss over a handshake. I think it's time these people were reminded who's boss around here.
I've word of a little field trip you and the staff are planning.
You let my friends go to see that show.
I call the shots around here.
You're busted, mister.
You're gonna regret sticking your nose where it ain't wanted, old-timer.
You take your filthy hands off her.
You mind your own business, Paige.
One day, one way or another, you're going to be outnumbered by the good people of this place. These people need me to make this place safe again. All I have to do is show them how to live without fear. And that all starts now, here, with me. Come on, kid, let's ride.
You mean roll?
I mean ride.
interestingly enough, when we picked the title and watched the movie, it took a while to realize who exactly Vicente Fernandez was. We'll get to that, though.
Yes.
Our surprise and delight.
Yes. Yeah, so this movie came out in 2012, and I gotta say, it's a lot of a movie. I was not expecting anything, but what I was expecting wasn't this.
It's as if Sam Peckinpah had survived to a really, really ripe old age and was paid to do a Western for the Hallmark Channel. Is how I would sum up this movie.
It is very Hallmark Channel. The
Yes.
whole time I'm watching this, all I can think of is it reminded me of the movie Badass with Danny Trejo.
Yes, yes, at the same ilk, yes.
Which to me reminded me of a lot of those movies that were made by like in the early 2000s, like religious kind of movies with
Correct.
religious overtones to them.
Correct. I think if you look at the sentimentality and what I would call the cheese,
Yeah.
it is definitely cut very well
Yes.
with enough humor and so many Easter eggs to Western movies. So
Yeah.
although it's doing a Hallmark movie, it is definitely has the beats of a Western.
Yep.
And that's what I think I like about it is. And so you kind of forget you're watching a schmaltzy kind of
Yeah.
sucky sweet movie.
And the director of photography or whoever slapped it together had a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were some things there was no need for like the ridiculousness. Like
No.
there were scenes in the movie where they were playing cards and the cards would hit the table like whoosh,
Yes,
whoosh,
yes.
you know.
Every time they do an outside shot of the nursing home that Ernest, and we'll tell you about the plot.
Yeah.
The nursing home that Ernest Borgnine gets left in, the sign for it is swinging and making the classic Western swinging sign noise.
Yes.
And so, I mean, there's just little touches like that throughout the whole movie. And anytime somebody walks, it's in slow motion, like they're walking to their final duel.
Yep. Let's talk about the cast.
The cast. Of course, we have the impeccable Ernest Borgnine in all of his glory.
A man who made at least 100 movies, died in 97 of them.
Yes. Barry Corbin, who is one of my favorite actors, the man you love to hate. He was Maurice in Northern Exposure. Yep. He oddly enough, and I knew this before watching the movie, he was a classically trained Shakespearean actor, but his Texas twang and his that gruff look that he has got him a lot of villain roles.
Yeah.
And so Barry Corbin would be Ernest Borgnine's antagonist in this movie. And then we have there's a whole subplot about Hispanics and Latinas are running this nursing home. And so there's a lot of unknowns, or maybe they are known. I shouldn't say that. Perhaps they're known to our Spanish watchers. And so then we get June Squibb as Irma, Ernest Borgnine's wife, and Ernest Borgnine's Rex Page is his name in the movie.
Yes.
So June Squibb, who's been in a ton of movies. She's classic, kind of has she'd got a lot of roles late in life as the old nice grandma. She could be Mrs. Claus. Why she was never cast as Mrs. Claus in a live action Santa Claus movie.
Yes,
that's who she reminds me of.
Yes,
and then
a Mrs. Claus who don't take no crap.
Correct, a tough Mrs. Claus, and sort of the Mrs. Claus of The Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yes, yes.
And then we get Dale Dickey, who I like to refer to as, if you need someone to play a meth head, you pick her. She, not sure why or how, but she always looks like she's on meth when she's in the movie.
She was great in My Name is Earl.
My Name is Earl, yes. So that's her most famous role, yeah. And so you can't unsee that whenever she plays. And then we get Ernest Borgnine's granddaughter, Audrey P. Scott, who I thought was great in the movie. So, you always run a risk of having the cute kid in the movie, but they did a really good job writing her part.
Yeah. Sometimes the cute kid can overshadow everything else.
Correct.
In her case, she fit right in and seemed pretty natural.
Yes. So that's our cast.
Is it though?
And then, of course, they had a shadowy stand-in for Vicente Fernandez.
Frank Sinatra.
The Frank Sinatra
of Mexico.
And then there's a certain scene where you actually see his face, and they did a good job of picking a body double for him. And so the plot. Shall we talk about the plot?
Yes, let's move on to the plot.
The plot. So it begins with a curmudgeon-y old man, Ernest Borgnine, as always, curmudgeon-y.
Yes, when he was younger.
He's not quite the diabetes level of curmudgeon-y, but he plays Rex Page, who is in his mind, a failed actor.
Yes.
He had an opportunity to star in what in his mind was a fantastic star-making Western, although his wife later says it's a terrible B movie. And so he is obsessed with the fact that he didn't get the part, and it would have changed his whole life. And he ended up being a radio disc jockey. So as he says in the movie, he went to the place where all, out of work actors go, and that's becoming a disc jockey at a radio station.
Yes, all he had to do was talk and put the needle on the right groove.
Correct, as he said, yes. And so he, he acts out the movie as if, had he been cast in it in the beginning. And so he's talking to his granddaughter, who also makes the movie with him. They play act the movie. And unfortunately, though, he ends up having a stroke and is forced to enter a nursing home.
While on the toilet.
Yes, while on the toilet. And we get to see Ernest Borgnine on the toilet. And so that was unexpected.
Yes. When he did the reach around to grab the script on the back of the water closet, I'm like, oh no. No.
Because there was a long intro shot of the toilet paper. I'm like, oh no, please.
Yes.
Please don't have him fall off.
We were worried.
Yes. But luckily they cut away as he had his stroke. And so he wakes up in this nursing home where he discovers there's a evil Barry Corbin who is it's kind of like the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So he's sort of the evil inmate, patient.
Yeah.
But he secretly runs the place. He and his son run these nursing homes, and this is the nursing home he's in, but he runs it and with an iron fist, and he cuts corners. And
the son, played brilliantly by one Larry Manetti of Magnum PI.
That is correct. Yes. Who comes to visit later.
Also, a frequent flyer on Battlestar Galactica.
Yes, which if you are interested, we also like to review Battlestar Galactica on our Tuesday night episodes. And so there becomes sort of he begins, playing cards with his protagonist Walker, who uses a walker all the time in the movie.
And they frame the whole thing with so many Western overtones.
Yes. So you get he and his cronies are going in their mobility impaired vehicles as if they're on horseback.
Yes.
He even has, antlers tied to the front of his for some reason. Yeah. And so they ride around as if they are the outlaws running. And so they even have the nurses and the doctors are all Hispanic people who basically are under his thumb and have to keep everything quiet about all the corners they cut.
Yeah.
Because he's allowed them to have their relatives in the home.
Yeah.
Or he threatens their job.
Yeah.
And so they constantly are being reviewed by the Board of Health.
It's both it's kind of a basic story.
Yeah.
But it's also very complicated because there's so many things happening.
Yes. And it's a classic Western. He comes in, the hero, the town who needs a hero. He comes in, he's going to clean up the town. And they look up to him like that's what he is. But what gets everyone making him a hero is not the fact that he takes on the bad guy in this. That comes later. It's because he tells the story. They're all excited because they've secretly gotten tickets to a Vincente Fernandez concert.
And who is Ernest Borgnine in this movie?
He is the man who shook the hand of Vincente Fernandez. So he ends up telling the story as they're talking about getting to go to this concert, that he shook the hand of the man in 1974, or was it 75, or could have been 76, as he says. And he he regales them with tales of this meeting, this simple handshake, but it becomes this epic story.
He had like a 30-second encounter with the guy.
Yeah.
But it has turned into the sweeping epic.
Yes, this Western epic of them meeting, and he eventually has the entire audience wrapped. All of the nurses and the orderlies are like on the floor looking up at him, telling this story. While of course the villain is fuming and twisting his non-existent mustache.
Well, he had a big old mustache.
Yeah.
Very Corbin had a big old mustache. Or are you talking about the doctor?
The doctor. The doctor is like
the doctor.
Yeah, yeah. So the doctor looked very sinister, and he of course is the patsy of Barry Corbin's character. So he's the one that makes all the cuts happen.
It's almost like he is the Red Eye.
Yes, he would be the Red Eye. Yes, he would be
Galactica.
Yes, exactly.
Call back to Battlestar Galactica.
Correct.
Episode.
And the actor, I did miss him, Tony Plana. So you'll know if you ever watched Ugly Betty, he was in Ugly Betty a lot. And so he's been in a lot. He's a character actor in a lot of TV shows. Been in a ton of TV shows, and so he does a good job here of. He was Manny in Seinfeld's The Apartment episode.
Oh, it was Manny. Oh,
that's how we know. That's Manny. Okay, of course. But he's also trying to use his power to seduce some of the Latina nurses.
Yes.
And so and so he and Ernest Borgnine ends up saving one of them from him. And so so he's heroic in many ways in this movie. So that's kind of the plot. I mean, we don't need to go into everything that happens, but there's definitely he gets the fame that he always wanted. He gets and it begins to take him away from his family. And so that becomes sort of there's this ongoing Western plot, but there's also the man who gets he gets eaten up by his fame and forgets his family.
It's a cautionary tale.
Correct. So I mean I just thought I loved it. It had me well, and what's interesting is so we're sitting here watching it and they talk about Vincente Fernandez. Like, are they making fun of that really cool singer that I like?
That's right.
And I'm like, wait a minute. And so I went through my CDs, and I'll be damned if it's actually Vincente Fernandez, the actual man.
I mean,
I thought maybe they had altered his name a tiny
bit.
Like
Enrico Palazzo.
Something like that. Yeah. But I have been a fan of him for many, many years.
Yes, we were playing it while we were setting up.
Yes. And so I'm like, hold on a second. I've got one of his CDs. And so, which is right here. So I thought it was great that I wish they could have got him to be in the movie. That would have been a coup.
Yeah.
But you can tell there are a few points, and you can tell it was a shoestring budget. There's a couple points where we noticed they had to use a boom mic to record.
Yeah, there was no ADR with this. This was all voice in the room.
Correct. But they did spend a lot of money on the opening credits, which are, I mean, if you've watched Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
It reminded me of La Casa de Mi Padre.
Oh, yes.
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 It was enjoyable until we made the connection about the Frank Sinatra of Mexico.
Yes. And
then the whole movie just elevated about 3 rungs up.
Correct.
And we were like rooted to the thing.
Yeah. I mean, it just the fact that they went that far.
Yeah.
And picked the real guy. I mean, that's what did it. But yeah, for me, it was just as they were so clever, as it was getting a little too straying into Hallmark, they would add a Western trope. And so it always snapped you back. It always got snapped back.
Before we watch this, because I bought this for Marc for Christmas last year because we that's how long ago, 2024, that's how long ago we were thinking about doing this. And I had to find a used copy of it, as you can see by the tag on it. And until we watched this, I thought they missed the golden opportunity because their tagline on this movie is the good, the bad, and the elderly. Now, that would have been a hilarious name for the movie, but it would have buried the whole idea of the movie.
Correct.
So, and And the title for me reminds me of "Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia."
Yes. Or the man who shot Liberty Valance.
The man who shot Liberty Valance.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you're getting that. So they get both. They they get kill two birds with one stone with that.
Like somebody in post put the good, the bad, and the elderly, the good, the bad, and the elderly together. But and I thought we can't waste that. Let's slap that on the cover.
Yeah.
So
and definitely the intro echoes that.
Yeah.
So you realize what you're watching.
Yeah.
And so and there's a whole section of him when Borgnine's in his wheelchair eventually because of the stroke.
Yeah.
He and his granddaughter talk about mounting up, and he even gets the wheelchair to pop a wheelie, so it looks like he's on a like
he's rearing back on a horse.
On a horse. So, I mean, there's just such nice little touches to the whole thing that they do with the Western.
Yeah, and that's how I would put this movie. Nice touches and very cute.
Yeah,
and I mean that with all the love. I wasn't expecting anything, but what I saw wasn't what I was expecting.
No.
And I'm gonna watch this again. I'm probably gonna borrow it one day and make my lady watch it. And
right.
See what she thinks.
Correct. Because in a romantic setting, like low lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because because there's a great line in the movie.
Oh,
you dim all the lights with your lady.
That's right.
And say, we don't need the lights on because you light up the room.
You light up every room you're in.
Yeah.
When he said that about his wife, I fucking lost it.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't.
Yeah.
That's a line.
Yeah.
That's a good, like somebody, it reminds me of when they were making Die Hard and they were like scrambling they needed dialogue and they called one of their friends and one of their friends is like, what's the scene? Well, he's John McClane. He's stuck in the vent and we need him to say something clever. And that's when the dude just off the top of his head went, come out to the coast, have some fun.
Yeah.
Somebody called somebody, we need a line. Somebody call somebody who's in love. Call an old person who's in love. That line is wonderful.
Yeah, and he and June Squibb play such a good old married couple.
Yep.
And her view of him, and I think it's interesting that he sees himself as a failure. She never has till till he till he gets everything he thought he wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's kind of interesting too. So
it reminds me of watching my parents. My parents are in their high 80s.
Yeah.
And they squabble, but it's there, it's there.
And we get it. And we also, despite looking like a meth head, as always, she's a great mom. She's not, so she plays against type, kind of,
Subverts expectations.
Yeah, yes. Because I kind of was waiting for, I don't know, that the granddaughter would have to end up with them because she's a meth head. Because I just expect her to be a meth head. But no, he even turns to her and says what a great mom she is and a better parent than he was.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it's just an interesting and very reminiscent. The relationship between him and his granddaughter reminded me of The Princess Bride. And so that's...
Oh, yeah. With Peter Falk?
Yeah, Peter Falk and Fred Savage.
Yeah.
Where that didn't get too... I mean, that's talk about a schmaltzy, cheesy movie that is well loved and deservedly so.
Yes.
But yeah, I kind of echoed that. So, I mean, what a great send-off for Ernest Borgnine. What a great... especially the end, and which I don't want to spoil.
Yeah.
So, but it's a great send off for him.
Yes.
And so I'm glad that it was his last film. Sorry it didn't get more fanfare.
Yeah.
But I would be interested in seeing the producers of this movie and the director, what else, if they've done anything else.
Well, there is behind the scenes stuff.
Yes, we're going to have.
We just haven't gotten
to that yet. So, but yeah, I thought it was really well done. It is one I'll go back to for sure.
Yes,
in the grand scope of Ernest Borgnine films.
That's right. Okay, so speaking of grand scopes of Ernest Borgnine, how would you rate this movie?
Well, as we will probably always do moving forward, I believe that we should rate each Ernest Borgnine production on a scale of Borg 1 to Borg 9. With Borg 9 being universal acclaim.
Yes.
And Borg 1 being clearly, as Ernest said in his autobiography, sometimes he had to do things just for a paycheck. So he admitted that.
Didn't we all?
Yeah, I have rent to pay. I have bills to pay. I have kids to raise. He was not afraid of doing a movie to make a paycheck. So yeah, so on a scale of Borg 1 to Borg 9. So I'll let you go first. So since I came up with the scale.
I'm going to give this a high Borg 6.
Yeah, I was thinking high Borg 5 to Borg 6.
Yeah.
Right in the middle. I think his acting is great. I mean, I've never seen him. There's a scene in the movie where the nurses are, when he first gets there, they're making bets on when he wakes up because he's so peaceful.
Yeah.
They all look so peaceful when they first get here and they're asleep and on their meds. And they make bets on whether he'll be a total old crotchety old man. And he kind of is, but he's also sweet. And so he's not, we didn't get the Borgnine I'm used to, which I kind of liked. But so for me, elevates it. But I mean, I'm riding a high right now, so I want to give it a higher rate, but I also know we've got a lot more Borgnine to get to. So I think a 6 is a good rating.
Yeah. Well, it was going to be a 5, but the little like tweaks and little flavors they kept throwing in elevated it to a 6.
And I also think the fact that it's a starring role for him, because a lot of times he's top billing, but he's barely in the movies.
Yes.
So I think that also elevated it to a 6 for me, is the fact that it actually is an Ernest Borgnine showcase movie.
And that will be the focus of the Ernest Borgnine movies. Now, we'll watch anything he's in. I've watched so many where he's in it for 5 minutes.
Correct.
Like one of my favorite bad movies is High Risk. He's in it for maybe 5 minutes. So I don't consider that a Borgnine movie. But the ones we're gonna be watching are gonna be the one where he's prominently featured.
Yes. If there's Borgnine films you want to see first, let us know. If there's ones that you would like us to review right away, we have our list, of course. But we've worked really, really hard to get a very good collection of his movies. Not all of which we've seen. So I mean, there's of course some classics that we'll review, but easy Borgnines. But we'll get to those. But let us know what you think in the comments, and give this one a try. Let us know what you thought of it, if you can find it, find a copy of it.
Yeah, I found this on Amazon for like $9 maybe. I don't mean to ruin how much I spent.
Oh no, that's all right. That's all right.
But it was about $9 or $10. But
well worth the $9 or $10.
Well, we're worth, yes.
It's not the price. It's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
And this is a present that is more rewarding than it's $9.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
That's right.
All right. Well, just like in the beginning of the movie, I'm Paul.
I'm Mark.
And as Ernest would say, light up every room.
Thank you for watching The Importance of Being Earnest.
That's right. Cheers.
Cheers. Yes, cheers.
I'm the sheriff of this here town, you hear?
Sheriff of my butt.